Winter had begun its quiet retreat from the forest, and early spring breathed softly through the understory as Zeff wandered along familiar paths. He was pausing to observe the first green shoots pressing upward through the thawed earth, tiny declarations that life was beginning to return once more. Zeff moved without urgency, savoring the gentle awakening around him, until he saw a thin ribbon of smoke curling above the distant trees, and an unsettled stillness began to happen inside his chest. At first, it seemed improbable, but then unmistakable. Drawing his steps forward through moss and branch, Zeff caught the scent, and what followed was the sight of Sati's mushroom house, the dwelling her father had built with care and memory, now engulfed in flame that leapt angrily and hungrily against the pale sky, while drifting ash scattered like dark snow across the clearing. Zeff's breath caught, and he rushed closer, his heart pounding, until he saw Sati lying beyond the fire's reach, her small body streaked with soot and exhaustion, with trembling hands evidence of a battle already lost. Zeff knelt beside Sati, calling her name softly until her eyes fluttered open, glassed with shock as tears began to gather faster than words. "Sati, I'm here," Zeff murmured, pressing a dampened cloth gently to her face as she struggled upright, and turning her gaze toward the burning house with a cry that seemed to tear from somewhere deeper than breath. Everything is gone," she sobbed, her voice breaking between gasps. "My father's house, my books, my blankets. I tried to stop it, Zeff. I tried, I really tried, but I couldn't. Now I have nothing left." Zeff listened without interruption, and his own eyes reflecting the firelight, while he offered her sips of water, steadying her shaking paws within his own. "You have not lost what made this place home," he said quietly. "The love that built it is not burning. The memories it held are not turning to ash. Sometimes what we cannot carry forward must change form so we can keep walking." Sati wept openly then, leaning against him as the house completed its final surrender behind them. And when her strength faltered entirely, Zeff lifted her with gentle resolve and carried her away from the clearing and into the forest's deepening hush, where twilight gathered beneath budding branches until the elder tree rose before them. It was vast, patient, familiar. Its hollowed warmth welcomed them without question. And once inside, Zeff laid Sati upon his resting place and he moved carefully about the space, bringing her water and a soft cloth and coverings while the tremors of shock continued to ripple through her small frame. And Zeff sat beside her, wiping soot from her paws with slow, attentive motions that required no explanation, only presence, until at last her breathing softened enough for words to return. "Zeff," Sati whispered, eyes fixed somewhere beyond the tree's interior shadows. "Where will I go now? The house is gone, and I don't know where I belong anymore." Zeff paused, cloth resting lightly against her paw, feeling the weight of her question not as a problem to solve, but as a moment to be held. Finally he spoke kindly. "A home is not only where walls stand," Zeff replied gently. "It is where your heart feels safe to rest, where your spirit is recognized without effort, and you do not have to search for that tonight." Her gaze shifted toward him, uncertainty mingling with something quieter. "And you may stay here," he continued, his voice steady but warm. "This tree once sheltered Milo and Mila, and they welcomed me when I had no path of my own. What was given to me can be given again. You are not alone in this forest, Sati." Tears gathered once more, though now they carried relief alongside of grief. And as Zeff wrapped her in soft coverings, the tremors gradually subsided until deep sleep claimed her gently, doubt loosening its long-held grip while Sati rested within the same space where other stories of care had once unfolded. Outside the elder tree, night settled fully over the forest, and Zeff stepped beyond the elder tree, lowering himself against its ancient bark beneath a sky that was washed clear by early spring air as the moon rose quietly above the canopy. Silver light filtering through budding limbs, and far across the darkened wood he could see the final glow where the mushroom house had stood. No longer flame, only ember. A soft pulse fading slowly into shadow while Zeff remained seated in silent witness, honoring both what had been and what was beginning, until the last glimmer dissolved into darkness and the forest breathed around him, holding memory, loss, shelter, and the quiet certainty that Sati slept safely within the elder tree, where her next chapter had already begun.